Good afternoon. I'd like to call to order the Planning Commission meeting. It is 4:30 on Thursday, November 20th, 2025. First item on the agenda is the approval of the October 30th, 2025 Planning Commission meeting minutes. Are there any corrections or additions? No. Do I have a motion?
I'll motion to approve.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes have been approved. Are there any corrections or additions to the agenda?
Yes, we would like to address two items on the agenda. One is the continuation of the variance application for 1527 South German Street, and then also the continuation of the simple lot division request, also for that same address. If you remember from our last Planning Commission meeting in October, the Planning Commission directed staff to take a look at the zoning ordinance, specifically the R3 medium density residence district, and provide language for potential amendment to that zoning district to allow the development of what we would call a grid lot for single-family homes in that district using what would be the RT2 or the traditional neighborhood district, single and two-family residence district standards. We did work with the city attorney to draft an ordinance for your review today. But it's the attorney's recommendation to do this in the proper order would be to first review and make a recommendation on the ordinance amendment. And then your recommendation would go to the city council. The city council would do two different readings of it, and then it would go into effect 30 days after it's published. If that were to happen, a number of the variances that would be required by Mr. Kretsch at 1527 South German Street would go away, and all he would need to request for a variance would be that front yard setback off of German Street. So it would be our request tonight to pull 3.1 and 4.1, or not go over them through the whole full staff report tonight, and go over those in the December meeting.
Is that acceptable to everyone on the commission?
Yes.
One other thing I would note is that with both of those items, we are subject to the 60-day.
So is it on the agenda for December?
So what we're going to do is we're going to advise the applicant that we're going to extend the time period for consideration of his request an additional 60 days, which we're allowed to do by state statute.
Okay. Thank you. Fine then, so I'm moving to 3.2, the zoning ordinance amendment.
I'll go. Before I get into the report, I'm going to pull a map up on the screen so we know what areas we're talking about as we go through this staff report. So this is a public hearing on an ordinance amending section 4.1 of Appendix A, the zoning ordinance, to the city code. The applicant is the city of New Ulm. There is no deadline for a decision on this ordinance amendment, and the zoning designation that we're specifically working with or working on is the R3 medium density residence district. There was a public hearing notice published in the November 8th, 2025 edition of the Journal, and to date we have not received any comments from the public on this zoning amendment. Amended sections of the zoning ordinance would include the following. Section 4.11 C would establish a 13th standard in the additional requirements table that would be applicable in the R3 medium density residence district. The standard would include the following. There are a total of 4 existing properties in the R3 district that fit the description of a grid lot that are 8,250 square feet in size, and the new standard would apply to these lots. in attachment 3B of your staff report, we have a map showing the locations of the 4 grid lots that this would apply to. One is the one that we've heard a variance request on here at the corner of 16th and South, 16th South and German. There's one north of that, and then there's 2 just to the south of that, abutting each other and directly to the west of Rolling Thunder. So they're all in that area of New Ulm. They're not in the other R3 districts on the north end or in the middle of the city. The zoning ordinance defines a grid lot as a parcel of land with a legal subdivision composed of 2 sets of lines, each set drawn to a definite pattern and intersecting to the other at right angles to form a grid. Grid lots are found within the grid pattern of the city. The grid pattern is defined as the type of city, a type of city plan in which a network composed of 2 sets of streets, each set drawn in a definite pattern consisting of 2 uniformly spaced parallel streets intersecting the other at right angles, also known as a grid plan, a grid street plan, or a grid iron plan. If you recall, earlier in the year when we made a zoning amendment to the I-1 zoning district standards, we actually defined those 2 terms, and now they're part of our zoning ordinance. So, the amendment would allow for these grid lots in the R3 district that were recorded prior to October 1st, 1968, that do not meet the minimum zoning standards to follow the standards that apply in the RT2, that's traditional neighborhood single and 2-family residence district. Right now, the grid lots in the R3 these grid lots in the R3 district are not developable for single-family homes using the existing R3 zoning standards. Examples of the lots subject to this change are shown here on the screen. And the following RT2 standards would apply to these lots. So I'll just run through those real quickly. So the minimum lot area in that will apply would be 8,250 square feet. If it's a corner lot, that can go to 4,000 square feet for both the front and back half of that lot. Right now, the without getting a variance, that he wouldn't be able to split that corner lot using a simple lot division because the minimum lot size is 10,000 square feet. So if we're applying these new sets or this new set of rules, he would be able to do that. Minimum lot width is 50 feet or 80 feet on a single-family detached dwelling on a rear corner lot. Minimum lot depth is 165 feet, and then 80 feet for a detached dwelling on the front corner lot, and then 50 feet on a detached dwelling on the rear corner lot. The minimum front yard setback is 30 feet. If it's a split corner lot, it's 30 feet from the named street and 10 feet from the numbered street. Interior side setbacks are all 5 feet. The street side setback is 10 feet. If it's the front corner lot, it's 10 feet off of the numbered street. The rear side setbacks are 5 feet. The rear width alley for a single family detached dwelling would be 35 feet. The rear with no alley would be 35 feet. The alley side yard would be 5 feet. Maximum heights would apply 35 feet. Minimum floor area 720 square feet across the board. Minimum building depth and width is 24 feet. And then we also increase the maximum building coverage in the single-family detached front corner lot and also the rear corner lot to 60% and 70%. So all we did was took the standards directly out of the RT2 zoning district and would have that apply to these grid lots in the R3 zoning district. Purpose of the zoning amendment, the amendments being proposed are to correct an error in the existing zoning ordinance and account for an existing situation or configurations that were not considered when developing the standards for the R3 zoning district. We have attachment 1, which is the proposed new zoning ordinance. So at the end of the the end of the residential zoning standards, there's a table that addresses a number of different, let's call them unique situations that we have in our residential areas, and we try to go through those standards or have separate standards that would apply. And this new zoning amendment would go in that table where we have kind of unique situations. It would be the last number, number 13. So this is what would be added to the zoning ordinance. Attachment 2, everything highlighted in red are the R3 zoning districts within the city. Here are the 4 lots that we're specifically talking about in the R3 district, again on the south end of town. Again, attachment 3B, here's the 4 lots that this new regulation would apply to. I actually took pictures of all of the lots that this would apply to. You can see right here that this is already being used as a driveway. So this would be the furthest north on German Street, that vacant lot. So it's unlikely. I'm not saying it won't happen, but it's unlikely that this would be developed in the future. And then here are the other 2 lots further to the south and on the west side of South German Street, between 2 residences. As far as we know right now, there's no plan to develop those, but that could happen at some time in the future. So we wanted to make sure that this amendment would apply to all of these lots in case there were some consideration for development in the future. We have the staff completed findings of facts as attachment 5. So the approval process. Following the public hearing, the Planning Commission shall adopt findings of facts, finding of fact, and a recommendation using each of the review criteria outlined in section 2.4B5. Recommendations and decisions and zoning amendments shall be based on the consideration of the following review criteria. A, whether the proposed amendment corrects an error in the original text or map. B, whether the proposed amendment addresses a need arising from a changing condition, trend, or fact affecting the subject property and surrounding area. And C, whether the proposed amendment is consistent with achieving the goals and objectives outlined in the comprehensive plan. So, does the Planning Commission believe that the proposed amendment complies with the review criteria outlined in Appendix A? Are there additional or fewer requirements the Planning Commission would like to see incorporated into the amendment? Staff would recommend approval of the zoning amendment described in the proposed ordinance. The ordinance amendment takes into consideration present lot situations in the existing zoning districts that were not considered during the adoption of the new zoning ordinance in 2022. Vacant grid lots in the R3 zoning district are currently not buildable without this zoning amendment. We have 2 potential motions, one to recommend approval of the ordinance amendment and one to recommend denial. And that would conclude the staff report.
Okay. Excuse me. Has everyone on the commission had a chance to review the finding of facts form that was presented in your packet?
Yes.
Do you all accept the finding of facts form as presented? Or are there questions or changes that you want to make, questions about answers or changes you wanted to make? No, so we are all in agreement that we accept the finding of facts form as presented. Okay,
Yes.
Yes.
thank you. That saves us some time. So is there any other discussion or questions for the city? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion.
I'd move to recommend approval of the ordinance as written.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion is carried.
So this will go for the first consideration in front of the city council on December 2nd at 4:30.
Okay, great, thank you. That moves us on to discussion of the December Planning Commission meeting. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm maybe just a question, John. Do we need a motion to continue consideration of 3.1 and 4.1 for 60 days, an additional 60 days? That might be appropriate for the
Okay,
planning
we can do
commission
that.
to do that.
Can we make it a motion for both of them?
Yeah.
In one
Yeah.
motion for the variance and the simple lot division?
Okay,
So moved.
second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the continuation of items 3.1 and 4.1. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. December, the week before worked for this meeting. Does it work for everyone for the next meeting, the
for me.
18th or whatever?
Yes.
Is that does that work for you guys?
This room is available on the 17th and the 18th. So the 17th is a Wednesday, the 18th is a Thursday. It's also open the 29th and 30th, which is a Monday and a Tuesday.
I will vote for the 18th.
I think the 18th.
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Everyone
please.
has agreement on December 18th.
Okay.
Now that I shoved that one down.
You probably should have a motion to, or at least you should maybe adjourn to that date.
That I can do. Is there any city council decisions that you wanted to bring forth? It's not on,
There were a few at the November 4th meeting. This is a non-planning commission item. They did authorize a professional services contract with McDonald and Mack Architect in the amount of $103,250 to prepare a detailed cost estimate for dismantling and reconstruction of select pieces of the Herman Monument. Also at that meeting, they approved the conditional use permit that Christy Luce had applied for to allow the operation of indoor commercial, entertainment, recreation land uses at 123rd North Street and 318 to 326 North Valley Street. And that was unanimously approved. At the November 18th meeting, again, it's a non-planning commission item. They conducted a public hearing on the use of tax abatement financial assistance for the Oak Hills apartment project, and that was unanimously approved. And then another item, again, that didn't involve the planning commission, the city engineer's report on the 2026 capital improvement plan was presented. That would conclude.
thank you.
Is there any funding for monument rehab?
Elwood's gonna get lots of grants.
He's got his hands out.
As of right now, no, there's not fun. Well, we have, after this 100,000 goes out, 300,000 in a Herman fund. We've got some that we've been setting aside from the HPC carryover funds of about $30,000 to $40,000. But we were approached, bringing in front of the legislatures for some
Bonding?
money, not bonding.
No.
They have the legacy
Yes.
Sure, sure.
stuff,
Yeah.
up to $10 million. So
Mhm.
that's what the $100,000 is doing. We need to have some fairly tight costs to be able to present to the legislatures on that.
As someone who has worked with that, and that's a really good route to go. It was a surprise when the Blue Earth County Historical Society did their children's museum through funding that way, kind of backdoored. There was a big to-do, because it was, a lot of people were caught unaware of that you could do that. But it is a wise way to go.
Yeah, because trying to go through SHPO and grants, it would be a 20-plus year project probably,
Oh,
because
for
you'd never
certain.
make a grant cycle to
No, for
apply for the
certain.
next year, and then you're not a student
No,
of
and
getting it. So it's trying to get all the money at once and go from there.
how much does SHPO still apply, though, as far as how you can restructure it?
That's kind of up in the air yet on with this monies. Nobody knows for sure how that looks at. Being they've given us the go ahead for deconstruction, I think that's a huge step already. They've said that's the first time they've ever done that. My feeling, I think once we get into it, we'll really know once we start deconstructing it might come to the point it's just a knockdown from the top down. I said, basically what I'm seeing is maybe the steel parts the 10 columns, the center column, steel ring, that might be good. You're still going to have it tested to see if it's structurally sound. But any of the stone and stuff, I don't think is going to be.
But you have a supplier for the stone. The original supplier is still around.
Correct, yes. It came out of Casota. Vetterstone owns the pits now. And the same pit that the Casota stone came out for the original monument is still open, and they still have there's 7 different tooling marks, and they still have all those 7 tools and stuff. So it'll be the glazed brick that would be not sourced from the original source, but that would be about it.
And you have an architectural firm?
McDonald and Mack. Yep.
That's right, I did read that. I'm probably the only one that's really excited about this. It's an amazing project.
Long road ahead yet, but it's moving.
It's amazing.
Aren't there typically fewer strings attached if there are no federal dollars used for the?
Yep.
Yeah. That's why the state
That's-
money is nice.
And that was until we were going to come in front of city council and see which way they wanted to really go. And the day before, the park and rec director was approached by somebody from the legislature to see if this is what we want to do. So we had kind of change on the run on that and bring that up and go from there. Because without SHPO money, you could go in and demolish it and start fresh. I mean, we don't have the original blueprints, but we've got drawings from the assessment study done in 2019.
Well, you've got that, but you also have the deconstruction of it if you have the right architectural firm in there, and I think you do.
Right, yeah.
Because they're going to have to document everything,
Yeah.
and every layer has to be documented
Right.
as far as that goes, so,
Yep.
yeah.
So,
You create them backwards, pretty
Yeah.
much.
Right.
Yeah. And you've got everything out of there in storage?
yeah, there's nothing in the interpretive center. That's all at the library.
Okay. It's excited.
Okay.
Thank you. Is there any other business to come before the commission?
Yes.
Yeah.
We have one final item.
Thank you.
Since I don't know if we're going to have a December meeting or not. We do have some recognition to be made. This is on behalf of the city of New Ulm. Presents this recognition award to Ann Earl for your high level of community involvement and unwavering commitment on the commission as a member from January 2020 to December 2025. Dated this 25th date, the day of December 2025, a little early, but what, signed by Kathleen Becker, Mayor, City of Newell.
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much for your service to your community.
Thank you. I'll put this next to
That
my,
probably deserves it.
I'll put this next to my award for once. I won a day one year by the mayor. I don't
Your day,
remember
huh?
what the day was either. Yeah, it was fun. Anyway, thank you. If we don't have a December meeting, I'd like to, if we do have a December meeting, please step forward if you'd like to consider an office for the next year, because if we have a December meeting, we have election of officers at that meeting.
That is correct.
So if anyone has an interest, please step forward at any time. Let somebody know so you can be nominated. It's easier. If hearing nothing, that's the end of the meeting.
End of the meeting.
Hearing nothing, I will adjourn this meeting to December 18th. Thank you. 2025.